if your question fits in at the time, then I'll try and work it in. And again, if you have any problems, please just let us know via chat. So today we're talking about the nuts and bolts of SEO. I'm Eric Pratum. Here on the screen I have my phone number. You can feel free to call me at any time. That's my mobile phone. If you don't get a hold of me, I'm really bad at checking my voicemail, so please just send me an email, or if you're on Twitter, I check Twitter pretty frequently, so you can get a hold of me there. A lot of people like to start their presentations with, all of their professional stuff, but I like to start with what I do when I'm not doing what we're doing today, and that's scuba diving. That's really one of my passions. If you ask my wife, it's probably one of my only passions, but she was the one that got me into it. So I really enjoy that. In my day-to-day work, what I really tend to do is spend a lot of time in data. I came from the agency world, and now I'm at a startup, but I spend a lot of time looking at numbers, like I would imagine plenty of you do. How are our email programs doing? How's our social media doing? Is it driving dollars or anything else? For anyone that is interested in certifications or anything else like that, I'm email marketing certified by Marketing Sherpa. I'm email marketing certified by Marketing Experiment. Those are both partner organizations that are very, very large. I have an MBA from Western Washington University. I have another master's degree from Portland State University. Previously, I was the social media analytics program manager at an agency where most of Microsoft's products were my clients. I've also done a lot of work for Razorfish, the large digital services agency. I manage 2 e-commerce websites for Hilton. And currently, I am at Empower.me, and I'll give you a little bit of an explanation later on what that is about and what we're doing. So to really get started, search engines don't see websites as just a bunch of individual entities out there. Your website is much like a person. I'm getting some background noise. I don't know if someone needs to mute themselves, maybe. Hopefully it's not me. So imagine
all guests have been muted. All guests have been unmuted.
The people who get more votes of confidence are the ones that should rise to the top and should become more popular. So what this led to was people linking from one website to another, and the ones with the more links were the ones that bubbled up to the top. So naturally, the websites with the best content, the most engaging, or the ones where people spent the most time is what rose to the top in the search algorithms, originally with search engines. So people, of course, figured this out, and what did they do? They saw that there was a big network of websites all across the internet, a lot of tiny little websites that never have any links coming in, but they link out a lot. And think of those like your blogs that have 1 reader or 2 readers or 3 readers, but you find a really interesting story from a large publication or something like that, and you link to it, and the next website links to it, and the next website links to it, and that's where you get these large nodes, like the green one there in the upper right, or some of these medium-sized white ones there. Well, when people figured this out, what did they do? They made deals to pay to get people to link to them so that their garbage websites would bump up to the top, because the more links you had, the more your website would rank higher in the search engines. So there have been a lot of cases in the past, and some actually somewhat high-profile cases recently, where websites were going around just paying other websites to link to them, and it wasn't that their websites were the best, and that's why they were getting links. It was just that they were paying money. What Google wants to see is they want your website to get links because it's really valuable. And people say to their blog readers or to their other website visitors, if you want X, go here. You know, I might have a website about bicycles, but I sell bicycles, but I don't sell bicycle clothing. So Google wants me, and Bing and all the other search engines, of course, they want me to link to a bicycle clothing website because that's the one that my readers or my visitors would find the most valuable. They don't want me to link to some website just because someone paid me to link to it, because then the people with the most money and the people with the garbage rise to the top. And this is one reason that in the past, and somewhat nowadays, but not as much, you would search for something like car loans. That's an area where there's a lot of competition, and you would see websites that have basically nothing to do with it or are really scammy would rise to the top, and they'd be competing with, you know, the bank down the street or any other organization that is really legitimately valuable. Why are they there? Because they paid to get links, and they are sort of standing on the top of this garbage heap of junk websites. So that was really the first stage of search engine development, and it's a really important aspect for you, getting people to link to your website. It's called link building. So there are a lot of ways to go about this. You violate most search engines' guidelines if you pay someone to link to you, but if you have a website that's really engaging, if you have great content, if you're the only place to get X, Y, or Z, then people will link to you. But of course, it's not one of these things that if you build it, they will come. You have to have promotion and all of that as well. And there are some really great examples recently. I don't know if you all have heard of Dollar Shave Club, but if you haven't, I would recommend looking up Dollar Shave Club. They're a startup, and they created a video that people just thought was hilarious, and that was, I believe, how they launched their brand, and they got a whole bunch of people to link to them. Now when you search for shaving or razor blades or things like that, there's a good chance that they will rank for you. Like I mentioned, there have been people who have gotten slapped because of paying for links, and not too long ago, JCPenney got this. They had an SEO company that was getting bloggers and other websites to link to them for a certain amount of money, $10 a month, $20 a month, and so on. It's a pretty good gig, if you ask me. If you have a decently popular website and somebody pays you $20 to link to them, $20 every month or $100 or depending on how valuable your website, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, you violate Google's terms of service, and both your website that's linking out and the website that you're linking to can get penalized. So in your link building for your websites, and this is just one aspect, keep in mind that you can incentivize someone to link to you, but as soon as you get into money, it becomes a little bit tough, and you risk being de-indexed or getting a search penalty, which is what JCPenney experienced. Google found that they were paying people to link to them, and so right, in a prime sales season or prime shopping season for them, all of their search results received a penalty. The next thing, once people started gaming the system and paying to get links, what Google started integrating in was how relevant did the page look to what you were searching for. So if you or I go to the search engine and type in cats with, blue and red collars, we want to find cats with blue and red collars. If we type in, manual for, and then whatever computer we're using or headphones or whatever else, we want to find the manual. We don't want to find anything else. So What the search engines did, and especially Google led the way, was they looked at what was on the page, what was on your website, and tried to determine how relevant was it to the person's, to what they were searching for. And how they do this is they look at the lead sentence and the title of your blog posts or your pages. So let's say that you have a page that is all about auto parts in Indianapolis. If someone's going to search for auto parts in Indianapolis, obviously you want that to be right at the top of the page. It's exactly like the headline for an article in the newspaper, or it's like the name of a business. If you're walking down the street and you're thinking, I want to get coffee, and there's a sign that says coffee, obviously that's what speaks to your interests. Same thing online. For your own SEO, when you create a page or you create a blog post or any piece of content online, think about your title and your lead sentence. Is it exactly relevant to what the person's looking for? Here I have a search result example. I wrote a blog post about listening stations, and a listening station is just something that people use if they're monitoring conversations online. And depending on your search results, for some of you, my post on listening stations will be number 1 or number 2. It kind of depends on your location and also how Google personalizes your results. But when someone searches for listening stations, that first result up there says Grizzard Communications Group, the agency that I was just at, listening stations, because I know people are going to look for that, so I put that in the title. If someone is considering getting one set of seats for their car versus another set of seats, there's a good chance that they're going to go to Google and they're going to type in car seat X versus car seat Y. You could make that a title of a page and then discuss the pros and cons of car seat X over car seat Y and vice versa. And who do you think they're going to come to when they type in car seat X versus car seat Y, and they see, out of the top 10 results, they see 9 that sell either X or Y, and then they see 1 that gives them the pros and cons. They're going to come to you, guaranteed. What you need to do is put that search phrase in the title and the lead sentence. Oops, sorry, I went backwards. So you can see the search result the search term listening station. The result says listening stations. My blog post says listening station in the title and in the lead sentence. I would mirror this in any pages that you create, and the value really is not just in the title, like I said, like that sign that you see on the road, but it's also in the first sentence, because when you start reading an article in the newspapers know that you're going to stop reading probably after 3 or 4 sentences, so they need to get their point out immediately. Same thing online. If you or I don't see what we need in the first couple of sentences, we're gone. So the search engines put more value on the first few sentences on your page than they do on anything else. So when you're working on your website, think about what are your titles and what are your lead sentences. The next thing you can do for your on-page optimization is bolding. Anything that's bolded, the search engines will consider to be more valuable. Just like if you create a presentation, whether it's today or when you're back in school, you created a presentation and you bolded something, you wanted to call it out, right? So if I search for gatekeepers, for me, one of the first results that comes up is by someone named Mitch Joel, who runs a marketing agency in Canada, and it's called Twist Image, and he wrote a blog post called The New Gatekeepers. So obviously it's already in the title, which is exactly what I said, and it's in the title right there at the top. It's also in his first sentence, and you can see he bolded it. He also bolded it later on in the post. Why? Because he wants to draw attention to it. All of us, I can pretty much guarantee, when we're reading through a document, especially if we're skimming, what are we going to look at? We're going to look at bolding, right? So when you're creating pages around anything, whether it's information, if it's to sell a product, an e-commerce page, it's a contact us page. The things that you want to draw attention to should be the things that people are looking for and the things that are most important. So again, in my listening stations post that I gave, I highlighted listening station. I bolded that so that people, so that their eyes would be drawn to it and they would get an immediate confirmation once they came to the page. This is what I'm looking for. Same thing here with Mitch Joel and Twist Image. If you're looking for gatekeepers, which is really pretty generic, he's trying to tell you this is what it's about, and hopefully you're in the right place. So search engines know this, and they're going to put more weight behind things that are bolded. So title, first sentence, and bolding. Those are three really important things for your website. Next thing is bullets and lists. Again, I mentioned skimming. So search engines know that when people skim, they slow down and look at bullets really quickly, and then they move on. Here, Rand Fishkin of SEO Moz, which is an SEO software company here in Seattle, that's where I'm based, just so everyone knows. He wrote a post, 21 Tactics to Increase Blog Traffic. So he already has a really interesting title because people like to read lists, especially online, because it makes them feel like they can get the information and get out. But he's bulleted everything. He's bolded the important things in the list, and he's made all of the things that people are likely to skim through and just read those pieces. He's made those stick out. Bullets and lists are a little bit more about usability than they are about SEO, but what search engines are going to look for, if you write a blog post that is the top 5 maintenance factors for your vehicle or something like that, well, somebody who comes to your page should be interested in vehicle maintenance. So, and that's already in your title. It's probably going to be in your first sentence in your lead-in paragraph or something like that. But what they want to see to find relevance, again, is they want to see you discussing or pointing out vehicle maintenance tips in your bullet points, because you're probably going to do something just like what you've done here and say, the number 1 or number 2 maintenance tip is oil change, is checking fluids, or anything else like that. So again, for your website, you have title, lead sentence, bolding, and then bullets and lists. Don't abuse bolding and bullets and lists, of course, but those are some really key things. If I'm searching for vehicle maintenance tips and I go to one page that has my exact search term in the title and the lead sentence, and then they call out some things in bold and bulleting, and I go to the next one, exact same content, exact same layout, but they don't use my search term in the title or the lead sentence, they don't use bolding, I'm going to go to yours at the very least because it seems more relevant, but then also because it makes it easier for me to read if you chunk it up and with these bullets, and then you call my eye to something. So here are some examples of this. This is from my CEO of my last agency. He used to really like to write list posts, and he wrote a lot of them. So sometimes it got to be a little bit too much. But you can see he has nice short bullet points. He gets right to the point. He has a blog post called Social Networking Powers Ahead. What do you want to read if you're going to skim through some bullet points? You want some quick bits of information that are short, to the point, and help you get in and out real quick because you're busy. And then at the end, one thing that he does to increase the social action is he gives you tips on what you can do with this information. So here it says, here are 5 things you can do right now. And that kind of gets into the next phase of search engine development and where I'll discuss how social factors affect your website. But for right now, remember, title, lead sentence, bolding, bullets, and lists. Another example, you can see bullets right here. You can see if somebody's looking for donor loyalty, because it was a nonprofit agency. If somebody's looking for charitable giving, he mirrored it right in the title, in the lead sentence, and then he bolded giving. And then he has actionable takeaways. These are things that you really should model on your pages, even though not all of your pages, obviously, are going to be blog posts. On e-commerce pages, you can have the exact same thing. Think about reviews for products, or think about if you're writing up a description for a product, is somebody looking just for the product name, or are they looking for something to help their vehicle do X, Y, or Z? You know, if they're looking to help their vehicle do something, then maybe you should put the product name, hyphen, and then the search term that they're going to look for. All of these things are part of what we call on-page optimization. There's a lot more to it. What I tend to think of it as is house cleaning. You know, all of us have websites that, or I would assume that all of us have websites that we're keeping up frequently. But what we have to do very often is go back and look through all of our pages, and it can be time-consuming depending on how big your website is, and figure out, do I need to change the title of this page? Do I need to change the description for this product? If I'm linking to reviews or linking back from reviews to a product page, what am I saying? How am I telling the visitor that what they're looking at is really relevant to what they were searching for? The most relevant search results are the ones where the person used the exact phrase that is in your page title, your lead sentence is discussed in your, across your entire page, and then at the end finally gives them the information or gives them the actionable information that they want. Again, this is really what we call on-page optimization, and unlike link building, where we're trying to get people to link to us and it's not always successful, with on-page optimization, we can control every aspect of this. You know, there are some IT issues a lot of times, of course. I know how it is to be in organizations where you don't always control the technical aspects, but there's a good chance that you can at least, if you don't control the technical aspects of your website, you can submit new titles or new descriptions for pages. Unfortunately, much like with link building and how JCPenney and other websites have abused that and continue to, honestly, there's abuse with on-page optimization. So let's say somebody is looking for white or anything about white. Well, if I'm looking for that keyword, people figured out in the past, if I just increase the density of the keyword like crazy on the page, it's going to look to the search engines like it's really valuable. So somebody's searching for white, and if I put the text on the page, white is the color on a white, white is lighter than green, white is not black, the web page is white, and on and on and on. You can read this here. Then originally, back when the search engines made this change and were starting to look more for relevance and less just for links, this looked like it was really highly relevant because the search engines were stupid. You know, they didn't know any better. So people abuse this, and this is one reason why you'll see now and then that some search results you'll go to will be just completely keyword stuff. That's what they call this, keyword stuffing. And it's really not about relevance or value. It's all about getting the keywords into the rep EM views, or they can trick any of us that are not thinking quickly enough and to get us to click. And it could be spam. It could just be, you know, link clicks that they're looking for. Who knows? So we had the first development, which was links. The second was then relevancy, and that came down to on-page optimization, and people abuse that with keyword stuffing. And then the third and most recent development is social signals. So you can see here, when I search for something about authors or rel author, which is an SEO term, rel equals author, I can see that people that I'm connected to have +1 to this. That's, you know, just like, if anyone's not familiar with that, that's just like liking, except that it's on Google+. I can also see that other people have shared the post. And what this does for search engines is once somebody has plus, shared, liked, tweeted, whatever else, a page, could be an e-commerce page, could be anything, they know that not only are webmasters who can link to a page saying that this page is valuable, but also your average user that just uses Facebook but doesn't manage a website, or your average user that uses Twitter or is on Google Plus but doesn't own a website, they're also pointing to it and saying that it's valuable. So another thing that happens when you have these social signals like this, so this is within Google, is, let me back up here. So just when I look at my search results, if you were to remove any of these social signals from here, it would look like a regular search result, right? But as soon as we put someone's name below it, and it's someone that I happen to know because I'm connected to them, it sticks out a lot more. So for your websites, if you're getting people to like or share or tweet or do whatever to your products or your blog posts or anything else, when someone goes and searches for car seat X versus car seat Y, if someone that I'm connected to so I'm searching for it, someone that I'm connected to has shared that page, your page is going to stick out, and hopefully it's the most relevant to my search. If you do your searches mostly within Bing, you might see this if you're logged into Facebook. You'll see, Eric has liked this, Eric has shared this, and so on. On Google, you'll see Google Plus, and then there are constantly changes here. So tomorrow it could be Twitter, the next day it could be StumbleUpon, the next day it could be Pinterest. So how this really plays out for your websites is, if I go and search for chiku, chiku happens to be a fruit or a berry that's grown on a tree, but Google knows that because I'm connected to someone who has an animal named chiku, that there's a good chance that I might be looking for pictures of the animal that they've shared on Google Plus, that's where we're connected, and not that I'm looking for the fruit. So when I go to Google Plus and I type in chiku, it gives me one result at the top that is, it just says, this is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is always the best result, unfortunately, for most of us. We get beat out by Wikipedia almost all the time. But then right under that, it pushes down every other result that is about the fruit or about this simple file organizer that happens to have the same name. And it gives preference to the social signals. So for you, what this really means is, imagine you have a product that has the exact same name as something that gets way more search volume. Like I mentioned Dollar Shave Club earlier. Let's just imagine that one of your products is called the Blade. How many people are going to search engines and typing in blades? Razor blades, I don't know, lawnmower blades, who knows what else, blender blades. And how can you compete if somebody is typing in blades and your product happens to be named Blade or Blades? You're going to get completely washed out by all of the search results that Google says these are probably more relevant because more people search for razor blades than search for, an auto part named Blade or Blades. Well, if you get people to tweet, plus, share, stumble, and otherwise share your products or your pages socially, if I share your page and someone that's connected to me searches for blades, Google makes a decision and says, well, Eric shared the product, and his friend now, Robert, is going to look for blades. There's a good chance Robert's actually interested in this product and not in razor blades. So we're going to give preference to that. So for your search engine optimization, you don't just think about link building or on-page optimization, but also these social signals, because there's a good chance that these are relevant. Now, if you have a lot of links and no social, so no social signals, or you have a lot of social, so like your social media experts who say you just need to be on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, but you're not doing any link building or on-page optimization because of all of the changes to search engines in the last few years, this is your website. Guaranteed, your website will fall flat on its face because there are people who have it all. They're creating great content, their pages are relevant, and people are sharing them socially, and they're just soaring above everyone else. And you know, these aren't always the websites that look the flashiest. You know, they don't necessarily have the best design, or you know, they're not always the companies that are the most that we would just, you know, die to work for. Sometimes it's the companies that just do their technical work the best. You know, they have the most relevant pages. They do the day-to-day grinding work to get people to link to them, and they have the right calls to action to get people to share them. This is, again, you know, this is what you call social signals, or social search is what people call it, and this is part of your SEO nowadays. So I'm gonna wrap all of these points together, but I said that I would mention what I do. So my company is Empower.me. We're a learning tool for teens to help them get into college, you know, become smarter with money, get better grades, and so on. And we just recently did our soft launch. What I would really appreciate is if any of you think that that would at all be interesting, if you just look at it. If you have teens or friends or family that might find it interesting, if you would send Empower.me to them, and then just send me feedback. You know, like I said, we just soft launched. We have a 35-day free trial, and we're still gathering a lot of feedback to figure out, you know, to work on our targeting. And I'm working on our SEO just like you all are, and working on our social media. So it would help me if you think that it's at all interesting, if you just take a look at it, send it to somebody, and then send me any feedback. I welcome it all. Even if you think this looks horrible, this looks great, I would use it, I wouldn't, I would use it if you did X. I would really appreciate that. So let's wrap this all together. First thing is, you need to hit the nail on the head. What's the person looking for? You know, or hit the tack on the head, I guess, here. If your post is the most, or if your page is the most relevant page to what the user is looking for, search engines will rank you first. But they have a hard time telling who's most relevant because of all of these things, social, links, etc. So the first thing that you have to work on is your on-page optimization. You can control your titles, your descriptions, your lead sentences, your bulleting, your design, everything. And it helps, of course, if you don't look like a spammy or junky page, but let's just start with what we can control, and a lot of that is the text. Next thing is link building. If you're creating great pages, if you do something that's controversial or is fun or is informational, like an infographic, there is no shame or there's no harm in asking people to share it or to link to it. So like I talked about, there can be problems with, or you can run into problems if you pay people to link to you, but there's nothing wrong if you have a page, let's say that you just decide to go out on a limb and create a crazy, funny page about, you know, whatever products you sell, or you know, maybe about your company, and then you go and search and you find the top 50 automobile blogs or something like that. You can email those webmasters and say, hey, we see that you have a really lighthearted blog, and we just thought that your readers might find this valuable. Maybe they link to you, maybe they don't, but that's one of the main things that I would recommend you work on once you get your on-page optimization buttoned up. Lastly, social signals. Let's just imagine, I tried to find this picture with just this guy, and no people, unfortunately, couldn't. So within our lines, let's just imagine this guy's standing there. Not too interesting. But as soon as people are standing around him, clapping, pointing to him, looking at him, that's like a social signal. People are pointing to him and saying, this guy's valuable or interesting. Hey, maybe you all should come and talk to him or listen to him. So once you work on your on-page optimization, at the same time that you're getting people to link to you. You know, you're sending out emails, or you're building relationships, or your content's just so great that people link to you and say, this is where I found this product. This is so funny. This is really informational. Then you can also tweet, Facebook, Google+, you know, do all of your social media interaction and get people to recognize that this is not just valuable for webmasters, it's also valuable for your average social user. So I have other presentations that are related to this that might be valuable to some of you, so I'll leave these up for a second. I've given a presentation called Killer Content. It's about creating that content for your website. Also, SEO for blogs. I spoke at Full Sail University, which is an online university. Who Needs a Website just talks about the basic advantages of certain aspects of your website, and then website optimization basics. So these are all short links to SlideShare, and SlideShare, if anyone's not familiar, is just a place to store and present your online presentations. And if I move on too quickly and you don't get any of these, or if you're interested, just send me an email, eric@empower.me, or you can follow up with Barbara, or you can always just Google my name, and there's a good chance that you'll find what you're looking for. So there's also what I would recommend if you or anyone in your organization is interested in learning more about SEO. There's an event called Social Slam that happens in Knoxville, Tennessee. I spoke there this year, and they're starting to integrate more SEO. Starting tomorrow here in Seattle is SEO Moz's MozCon. It is by far the best seminar or conference that I have ever been to. And then a company called Distilled does conferences called Search Love and Link Love. Those are a little bit more technical and in-depth, so you know, I would recommend going to those if you're really, really into SEO. But otherwise, I might look for something like Social Slam or MozCon. And then resources that I would look into, thesaleslion.com is a spectacular resource for the average person to learn about content creation online. He talks about SEO, he talks about social media, and this is a guy who owns a pool company. And when the recession hit, his company dipped for a little bit, but they went from spending something like $250,000 a year on advertising with, you know, $4 million in sales or something like that, to spending $50,000 a year in advertising, and their sales have gone up something like 50%. Marcus shared in the sales line. He happens to be a friend of mine, so you know, I'm a little biased there, but he's also a huge keynoter at places like Blog World. The best book on content creation, SEO, social media, and you know, it doesn't cover everything in depth, but the best book for just online marketing is Content Rules by Ann Handley and C.C. Chapman. Conversation Marketing by Ian Lurie. He runs an SEO agency here in Seattle. Is hilarious, but also he talks about SEO-minded online marketing. So it's not just SEO, but it's a lot of things. And then SEO Moz, I mentioned their MozCon. They have great SEO software, but their blog, seomoz.org/blog, is, in my mind, probably the best SEO blog. So that's the presentation. I would love any Q&A. I know we have a little bit of time now. I think we can take any questions.
Absolutely, Eric. Thank you so much. Go ahead, folks. If you have any questions, just ask them or put them on the Q&A icon, whatever's best for you.
Anybody have any questions?
What you do is take out marketed magazine, which was on either.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll here for you to think about. Wanted first to know if anybody invited a colleague to today's meeting, and also which of these topics interests you the most for the future? Can you see my questions yet?
Right now, I'm not seeing any questions. While you, looks like you're bringing it up. Everyone, while Barbara is bringing this up, one of the most common questions that I get is, where do we get started? You know, if we already have a website and we're not going to put up a blog, you know, that's one of the most common things. And, you know, so what are we supposed to do? What I would do is go to Google and type in a search term that you think is relevant to people who should be buying your products. So think about a comparison term. Like I said, car seat X versus car seat Y. Or think about, you know, the vehicle maintenance tips or anything else. Something that someone should find you for, go to Google and see if they find you. If they don't find you, why not? You know, do the people who are ranking first, second, or third, do they have the most engaging pages? Do they have more people linking to them? And if I were you, you know, you can go and look for tools to find people that are. You can go and find tools to find out how many links a website has. But you know, if you're not ranking up there first, second, third, fourth, then find out why and adapt your website to that. If you can create new content, that's perfect. Websites love new content. There's actually a part of the algorithm that I didn't touch on, and we call it query deserves freshness. And so basically what it means, and I'm generalizing a little bit here, but basically what it means is that if you have fresh content, Google will give it preference above other things because it could be more relevant. If it has something to do with the news, or if people are only going to be searching for it for a short time, Google wants people to have relevant search results and timely search results. So they're going to show your content rather than somebody else's who has more social signals or more links. Why? Because you created yours recently and it's still on topic.
Eric, thank you for that comment. We've got a couple questions coming in here. I'm not sure if you can see them, but the first one is from Tim McCarthy. Can you see his question?
Yeah. Eric, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, Eric, really my question, and I have like square thumbs when I try and type, but when you look at the automotive aftermarket and you look at the truck accessory market and the performance parts market, what type of variance or differences in growth do you see in the different demographic segments by age, 16 to 25, 26 to 35? Because a lot of our customers span the entire age spectrum. What do you see in terms of variance by those types of age blocks in this type of marketing?
Okay. Well, one thing that I really like about search is that almost everybody online searches. Now, the value to them is the value to different age groups and to different verticals is different. But think about it like this. If let's say you have people that are purchasing from you that are 65, and you have people who are purchasing from you who are 25, there's a good chance that you'll convert a 65-year-old searcher at a much, much higher rate than a 25-year-old searcher, partly because of this. 40 years ago, when your 65-year-old searcher wanted to find something, what did they do? They went to the yellow pages, they looked for truck parts, aftermarket truck parts or whatever term they wanted. They flipped to that part of the yellow pages. They called your business and said, I want this product. And if you said, oh, we don't have it, can you call back tomorrow or something, they hung up and they called the next place in the phone book, right? So this is just like when you or I or that 65-year-old goes to Google, they type in their question. It's just like opening the yellow pages and flipping to a section. they click on the first result, which is calling your business. They don't get the answer they want, so they click back and they click on the second result, which is just like calling the second business. So within aftermarket truck parts, I don't know off the top of my head how different age groups are responding, but across most verticals, you'll tend to see that search is more effective for your older age ranges. Another thing that can help you is if you're not familiar with Google Trends, if you just go to Google and type in Google Trends, it will give you some idea of the growth in search terms or the mentions of certain search terms, what areas of the world, city, country, etc. are looking more or less for your search term. And then also it will, you can look at places like compete.com or Quantcast. If you look at those websites, what they'll show you is if there's enough data, how many people are visiting websites or looking for your products like yours. So does that sort of answer your question?
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see that we have another question in here about participating on blogs answering question and answer Q&As and then leaving links back to your website. Some people really like going to blogs and leaving comments with questions or with links back to their website. But one thing to be aware of is that most websites, when you leave a comment back to, or when you leave a link, they have what's called no-followed linking, and there are two types of links really online. There's a do-follow link and a no-follow link. Search engines implemented no-follow when they wanted to allow people to link to a website without giving it that vote of confidence and saying this is really popular. So let's think about if one of your competitors did something really nasty and you want to talk about them on your blog, but you don't want to link to them and give them that link juice or that value. If you have a no-follow link, then the search engine allows you to link to them, talk about whatever happened with them, and then not give them the value. Same thing with comments. WordPress, Blogger, a lot of other blogs, a lot of other blog software, they know that people will come by and drop links in the hope that they'll get some value out of it, or that their website will get some value back. They'll get some link juice flowing through it. So they've just made all links in comments no follow. So you can drop a link if you're commenting on a blog post or a news article or whatever else, but there's just about zero chance you're going to get value out of it. Now, if you're on a blog or some other website where there's a ton of relevant people, people who should be buying from you, then maybe the value isn't in terms of SEO. Maybe the value is more that you're just in the right place at the right time. And, that's good marketing then.
Eric, that's a helpful answer to our question. And Ms. McCarthy, it looks like you were able to receive Eric's answer to your question as well.
I was.
Does anybody else have any other comments or questions before we let Eric go? Well, if not, I'm just going to remind everybody that this presentation today has been recorded with Eric's prior permission, and it will be available after the meeting is dismissed at 5 o'clock Eastern Time today. Also, I do have a poll for you if anybody wants to answer my question. Wondering if anybody invited a colleague to today's meeting, and also what types of topics would interest you in the future. We have several coming up that you are more than welcome to comment on, and I'd be interested to know what you think about that. If you have any further questions, please do feel free to email me, Barbara G. at partspro.com.